it all takes money, right? It takes money. And we think we can just go from college to pro because we love it, and that pro should be a step up from college. But my God, look at how the University of Texas is funded. How are you going to outfund the University of Texas if you're the Chicago Bandits? I mean, I don't care. You're not going to, right? You can't out them anything. You can't out personnel them, outfund them, out facility them. And we're such a facility heavy sport that really, we had to have that partnership with Major League Baseball.
Whether you live northeast, west, or south, the best fast pitch info comes from the coach's mouth. Welcome to the From the Coach's Mouth podcast with your hosts, Jay Bolden and Ken Kraus.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the From the Coach's Mouth podcast. This is Ken Kraus coming to you today on a beautiful, warm, sunny day, joined here, as always, by my buddy, Jay Bolden.
Morning, everybody. How you doing? Ken, how are you today?
I'm doing all right. My throat's getting a little froggy here for some reason, but I will silence and clear it. But otherwise, yeah, it's a great morning here. Very happy to be alive. How about you?
Yeah, doing well. Pretty excited so far. It's been a great year. I know the high school playoffs are ending here. Very proud to say I have one state champion already for the 2A here. That's in Illinois. I've got a couple kids in Indiana that are going downstate. And I got another kid that's going downstate this Friday for the 4A, the bigger school. So pretty excited about that. I'm super happy for those families and parents. I remember back in the day when I was a high school coach going downstate. It's such a memorable experience that, I could absolutely relive that now. And that was 20 something years ago. So excited for this summer too. Your kids firing up with the travel ball yet or no?
Oh yeah. Yeah. They're going at it hot and heavy, literally in some cases. I got some kids going out to Kansas. I think some coming down your way, a few of them going across the border into Wisconsin. So everybody's fired up. It makes my weekends a little bit easier because those who were doing weekend lessons are busy.
The recruiting trail is now officially open, so it's I'm excited for the summer for all of our kids. Man, I hope your kids do well.
Yeah. One other thing I want to ask you is, did you watch the Women's College World Series? I'm sure you did.
Did I ever? You know what? I got to tell a quick story here, Ken. It's funny because my daughter had a game that night in 10U Rec, and my wife is, she likes softball, but she's not there yet.
Yeah.
And so we watched the game one, game one and game two. And then all of a sudden she's like, well, we got to hurry up and get home. The last game's on. I'm like, whoa, what's going on here? Finally, it's come to her. This is a great sport. And so she was loving every minute of that too. So her and I watched that last game. I'm so happy for Mike White and the Texas Longhorns. So yeah, it was a great game, great series.
Yeah, it's funny. My wife is kind of the same way. She's always of the mindset, why do I want to watch other people's kids play? But I was watching the last game. I was on tape delay, but I was watching the last game as it was going along. She came home from wherever she was, sat down. I said, listen, this is a really exciting game. I want to keep watching it. And she's like, oh, okay, that's fine. So she gets on her iPad and she's doing some stuff. And then forget who it was. The left fielder ran into the wall making the catch. And she goes, ooh. Yeah. She goes, ooh. And then there was the ground ball that took the bad hop over the shortstop's shoulder. And, she made a comment on that. So, yeah, she was watching.
That's awesome. Well, enough of our rambling. Why don't you give a little info about this amazing guest that we have today? I'm super excited for this one.
All righty, me too. Today's guest is one of the most well-known and accomplished coaches and leaders in the fast pitch world, and we mean literally in the world. A National Fast Pitch Coaches Association Hall of Famer, she enjoyed a successful college playing career at Cal Poly Pomona and a professional career with the Santa Ana Lionettes. Her coaching career began when she joined the staff at Arizona State as an assistant coach, and she went on to become the head coach at New Mexico State and Wichita State. She most recently completed a 7-year stint as the pitching coach at the University of California, Riverside. Her coaching resume also includes her time as head coach and general manager of the Georgia Pride, later the Florida Wahoos, in the Women's Professional Softball League, where she led the Wahoos to the league championship in 2000. Yet our guest's impact has been felt far beyond her direct coaching experiences. She is a past president of the National Fast Pitch Coaches Association, was the director of national teams and coaching development for USA Softball, and director of development for the International Softball Federation. She was a pioneer in developing online coaching education programs for USA Softball and has written 11 books and produced 18 videos on coaching and skills development under her own Softball Excellence banner, as well as creating training products such as zip balls. And I'm pretty sure I have all of her materials. If that isn't enough, she helped guide the selection of the United States' first ever Olympic softball team that won a gold medal in the 1996 Olympic Games and has worked with Olympic teams from Greece and China as well as the USA, while also helping with program development in Australia and Canada. There's more we could say about her, but you'd probably rather hear it from the legend herself. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm From the Coach's Mouth podcast welcome to our friend, someone I consider a personal mentor, and a woman I actually share a birthday with, which is coming up in a couple of days, the amazing Cindy Bristow.
Thanks, Ken and Jay.
Hi, Cindy.
Sounds like
How are
something
you?
my mom wrote.
Yeah, she actually sent me the stuff, so.
Yeah. It's weird to hear all that. Like, it doesn't seem like it happened. My brother says it sounds like I can't keep a job, which he's not wrong.
That's fantastic.
I love it. So how are you doing this morning, Cindy?
Yeah, I'm doing great, other than something's like I'll clued you with my camera, but I'm radio and you guys are kind of on TV, so we'll old school it here.
Yeah, kind of, and it's a shame because the two
Should be the
people
other way.
Yeah, two people that shouldn't be on camera.
Oh, that's great.
All right. Well, we want to start getting into some of the questions. So everybody likes to talk about all your career accomplishments like we just did, but it all had to start somewhere. How did you first get involved in fast pitch softball?
My dad played. He was a pitcher. In fact, his nickname was Whip. His real name is Harold, and nobody ever called him that. They called him Whip because he pitched, but he pitched slingshot. And he was from a family of 5 boys, and they all pitched back in the day when guys played fast pitch. And my mom had played, and so I grew up with it. And it was the only thing I was good at. I sucked at everything else. So I
Did you try other sports?
Yeah, and I was in basketball. I'd pass off. I couldn't jump. I could barely shoot. I hated running. So that eliminates a whole lot of sports.
Yeah.
So I just stayed with what I seemed to be decent at. So started from an early age.
Yeah, that's funny because I remember, they were just starting to introduce soccer as an actual sport when I was growing up, and we would have it in gym class. And I remember immediately, I'll be the goalie because you don't have to run so much.
Yeah, that would have been out. It wasn't even around when I was playing, but not here anyway. But yeah, that was out.
So were you successful from the start, or did you have to go through a learning curve before it all came together for you?
That's a interesting question. I think I was successful, but at a very small level. You don't know if you're like, I could throw and I could hit and catch. All that was pretty easy for me. So I had pretty good hand-eye coordination. And then when the circle got bigger and our little dinky team that my parents formed got bigger, I realized, oh, I'm not that good. And then you're faced with, well, do I whine about it or do I work about it? And my mom's always the mindset, you got to work about it. So that was helpful for me, but I didn't pitch right away. I was a third baseman, hitter. I want to play the game.
So how'd you get started with pitching then?
Yeah, it was I think I was like 15 or 16, rather late for what people think you should start. And we were at a softball clinic and some guy was having a pitching clinic. And so I went to it and we're all lined up, how there's hundreds of us and we're all lined up pitching and he's looking down the line and oh, that's good. That sucks. That's good. And he looks at me and he goes, oh, that's pretty good. By the time you're 18, you should be able to throw underhand faster than you throw overhand. Well, that's all I needed to hear. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I was pitching everywhere. I couldn't hit any, I couldn't even hit the side of the school wall. All the balls went over the school wall onto the roof, but I was just determined to do it. And I did throw faster underhand than overhand by the time I was 17. I couldn't hit anything, but I just decided it was like obsessive to try and see if I could master it. And I eventually got decent at it.
So wait a minute, I have to ask you a question here. You said your dad was a pitcher. Your
Yep.
brothers were pitchers.
No, my dad's brothers, my
your
uncles.
dad's brothers. Yeah,
Yeah.
they were all pitchers, and yet you didn't try pitching until you went to a clinic with somebody else. How'd that happen?
Yeah. Well, my dad was an officer in the Air Force, and there were 5 of us kids. So instead of us moving all over the world every 3 years, my mom and dad were from Southern California. So we stayed here, and dad would like go to Vietnam for a year and then go to Greenland for a year and then go to wherever for a year. So when he came back, he'd kind of check on me and see if I was any good, give me a few pointers, and then head off somewhere again. So it was kind of that deal.
That's awesome. So Cindy, after you started throwing the ball a little harder, I'm sure the controls started then to come in for you.
Well, eventually, I just threw it faster into the Mooney's pool next door at first. we had 5 balls, and I had 4 brothers and sisters, and I went through them pretty fast. They didn't want to catch or couldn't catch, or there was nothing to catch really. And so all 5 balls and the first 5 pitches end up over our fence and in the Mooney's pool. So that's the end of practice. So it takes you a while with only 5 pitches a day to get any good. And when I could finally keep 1 ball in my yard, it's like that day you golf with you finish the 18 holes with the same ball you started with. Like it's like an accomplishment. So
that's a thing. I didn't realize that you could actually do that.
That's what they say. I don't know. I've never experienced it either. So it just was an obsession to get it. And I didn't get it for the longest time. And I think that's what keeps so many young pitchers from really mastering the craft. They can pitch in the bullpen, but they can't do crap in the game when it really comes down to it because they haven't struggled through that figure it out stage. They just have pitched and been pretty good, and they think I'm good in the bullpen, so I'll be good in the game. And it's all about mastering struggle because the whole intent of the offense is to make you struggle.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. We often talk, and I might have stolen this from you, but yeah, we always talk about how it's a game that's so much built on failure. If you can't handle failure, softball is not the game for you.
Oh, exactly. And so many kids are raised with people around them trying to isolate them from failure and absorb the failure for them. And they think they're being kind, and they're really just stunting their growth within the sport and within life. But I mean, it's hard to see someone you care about fail and struggle, but through that is how you learn to believe in your own skills and to have skills and to have a mindset that I'm not going to panic in the struggle. I'm going to figure it out. And that's what's lacking so much in so many of the players we're seeing. I mean, I can do the flip drill from 3 feet away, but I can't pitch with crap from 43 feet. And
right.
That's rough for the kid. So I'm just going to change teams, right? It must be the teams, not me.
Yeah. It's all about the team. Yeah, for sure. Cindy, I want to ask a question though. So what was recruiting like back then? There was no social media. I mean, the technology wasn't as advanced as it was back then. How did you go about getting recruited?
Yeah. So you didn't care about that. You played because you were playing. So I played so long ago. I don't even know if you would consider that there was technology. We had a phone on a wall that was connected by, that curly cord.
Right.
And I don't know if I should say it, but there was no email. There were no computers. Like right now, half the people are turning this podcast off because, like, how old could you be? So, there were not that many schools that played fast pitch softball, all of them out here on the West Coast. And the school I went to doesn't even have softball anymore. It was a D2 school with a D1 program. And Carol Spanks, who I had played women's majors with before I went to college, was the coach. I actually played professional ball myself between high school and college. So people knew your skill and they recruited you. They just said, come to UCLA, come to Cal Poly. And I chose Cal Poly because that's where some of my buddies played. Your skill recruited you. You didn't try to make a big social media blitz to get attention. Your skill got you attention or it didn't.
Was that kind of a case where there were more slots available than necessarily good players to fill them?
No, I think it was opposite.
Okay,
yeah. And in fact, I was thinking about my experience growing up versus a lot of kids now. There were very few teams. So with very few teams, you only keep moving to the next level if you're good. And every next level weeded those out that were like the bottom of your roster. Where now kids don't get weeded out. They don't get any feedback that they really shouldn't keep moving up. It doesn't really matter that you like it. It really only matters that you're good enough at it. And they don't get that feedback. We would get that feedback. If you're not good enough at it, nobody at the next level wants you. So you only moved up if you were good enough.
Speaking of those days, we all saw the video with today's players watching videos of past players. I know that was, maybe close to that time. Were you one of those who didn't wear a batting helmet? Or was that before your time?
No, actually those videos were after my time. Dot played it. I played against Dot, and Lisa was too young, but I played against Dot and travel in majors, women's majors balls. She was just a little after me at UCLA. I played with Sue Inquist. We were at the same age. So she was at UCLA. I'm at Cal Poly. And so it was shorts. It was a white ball. It was 40 feet. It was for sure no helmets. But nobody ever got hit in the head. It was the catcher would wear, my sister caught, she would wear a face mask and a chest protector. And that's it. She wouldn't wear shin guards. As you could see on that video, there was no obstruction rule.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're in the way, you're going to get plowed. That was it. And just don't be in the way. It was different. And think of a Nigeri and a Tegan Kavan on the same team because there weren't as many teams. So those kind of players, you had some really, Debbie Doom, and you had some really hard-throwing people from 40 feet, Michelle Granger, but they would be on the same team.
Wow.
Did you play against Margie Wright?
Yeah, Margie and I, yes, to answer your question. And Margie, when I was the head coach at Wichita State, Margie was at Illinois State. She hadn't yet gone to Fresno State, and we were in the same conference, the Missouri Valley Conference. So, yeah, I've known Margie since back in the day.
One of our past guests, too, was a lady named Linda Lynch. She played for the Linden Arians. Did you play against them, or was it so far apart because of the coasts that you wouldn't necessarily see the East Coast teams?
We would play against them in summer ball, which was women's majors. I never played youth ball. I only played women's major ball. Like right away as a 16-year-old, I'm thrown in with Shirley Topley and Carol Spanks and Mickey Davis and all these. And I played against Joan Joyce because they were with Ray Bestis and Sharon Backus, and all those people were way up here. It's like a kid being on the Dodgers. So I knew I wasn't worthy, but somehow I was scooped up. So I was going to enjoy it, take advantage of it.
Then did you continue to play women's majors once you were done in college, or was that it for you as a player?
For a little bit, and then I quickly realized, because I had transitioned into coaching, that's such a different mindset. Like as a pitcher, especially as a pitcher, your entire mindset is self-focused. You only care about your performance, improving your performance, making your performance better for the team. And when you become a coach, your mindset shifts to other focus. You don't care about yourself, you care about them. And the duality was too extreme to maintain both. So as soon as I became, especially a head coach, I quit playing major ball.
So, Cindy, what led you into coaching? Was that your plan all along, or did you just kind of fall into that?
I love it. I love helping and teaching. And my dad was a coach. He coached us when he was home. And Jay, it was always something I just felt I was made to do. When I was playing college softball, I was the high school basketball coach here, and I loved it. So I would finish coaching in the afternoon, drive here 45 minutes, coach my basketball team in the evening. And if I missed the beginning of practice, I got them to where they would know how to start their own practice. And then I'd show up and off we'd go. And usually I'm still in my practice gear. And I did that for 4 or 5 years before I went to Arizona State. So it's always been something I love doing.
That's great. Just having that feeling and being able to enjoy it. One of the things that I've often thought is life is kind of backwards. Don't you sometimes think that everybody should start as a coach and then get into their playing career?
Oh, yeah. If you teach something, you really have to understand it. And we think our players understand, and really they're just trying to please us with whatever the next set of instructions we give them is. And they so often don't understand how any of that either fits together or fits within the concept of the game. So, in fact, we used to do at UCR, I'd have the pitchers, we'd have like a TikTok day where they had to pull their phones out, and whatever each one of them had been working on, they had to create a TikTok of it to teach it. And then they really loved that. And then they had to do a TikTok to teach. So I would have to create a TikTok of what Jay had been working on, and Jay created a TikTok of what Ken had been working on. So they had to talk to each other, and that was super helpful because all of a sudden the questions come. Now, how did you tell us to do that? It's like, what? What the hell have you been paying attention to this whole time?
Yeah. Yeah. I remember talking with coaches and stuff when I was early in my career, and, you among them, and just that whole thing about you can talk to your players and say, do you understand? And they're all going to nod and tell you, yep, I understand. And then you ask them a question or ask them to repeat it back to you or explain it. And then you find out not only don't they really understand what you said, they don't even understand some of the words you used.
Mm-hmm. We don't ask good questions. Like, if I should ask you a question that doesn't require a yes or no. So instead of saying, do you understand what I just said? You should ask, can you repeat back to me what I just said? And now all of a sudden, yes or no doesn't cut it. And
Yep.
Instead of doing it to make me happy or to not get in trouble, we're only doing this so I can see what you don't understand, and we can go from there. And that takes a lot of trust from the players, and too often coaches are too quick to snap at a player if they get it wrong, so the player quickly learns. Don't get it wrong, just please the coach. It isn't about understanding the material, it's about pleasing the coach. And that's when the thing has gone off the rails.
Don't you think too, Cindy, now that we are, we're getting more into this stuff here with motor preferences, there's not just one way to do things. Like just because a kid, doesn't fit a mold and their arm isn't a certain length, or their shoulder turns too much here or there, like that doesn't mean it's wrong for that person. I think, trying to get these kids to fit into a box isn't exactly what we're looking for. Right? Would you agree with that?
Oh, 100%. Because as soon as you put people in a box, you eliminate most people. And how do you know your box is right? Like too many coaches,
yes,
they don't even have the right box. And to me, that's more a sign of lack of knowledge and lack of work on the part of the coach, not a problem with the players. Because as soon as you say, this is the way to do it, you can stack up 5 Hall of Famers who do it differently. Like no one would ever teach to pitch the way Lisa Fernandez looked pitching, but they would teach to pitch the way she pitched, accomplished pitching. So there's different ways to accomplish the end based on how your body moves. And now we're calling it motor preferences, movement preferences. But if you hit certain points along the way, or if you accomplish the outcome repeatedly without injury and maximum capacity on your part, then you're doing it right. But that takes, if I have 25 players, Jay, I've now got to know 25 different ways to do this. Well, that's my job, right? Whether I'm getting paid or not. But so many coaches, they don't want to work that hard. It's easier if 25 people do what I say.
So who were some of your coaching mentors in your career, and which one do you think influenced your coaching style the most?
Early on, it was my parents, definitely. Which was simply work ethic. Like, I remember one time, Ken, I was complaining about, Carol Spanks who was like a 17-time All-American in women's major. She was incredible. And I was complaining that she was hitting me fifth. So I complained to my mom, and my mom's response was classic. She goes, Cindy, from what I've been seeing, I'm amazed she's still hitting you at all. So I recommend you go practice more instead of complaining more. So that was the feedback I got. So she was mentoring me, even though I didn't realize it. But clearly Carol Spanks, which was do the simple skills flawlessly, and the fancy stuff goes from there. And then Bobby Simpson in my ability to speak and be versatile and open to new ideas, I think. The biggest mind shift for me, though, Ken, was when I finally had the courage to realize I had to develop my own thoughts about how to do a skill instead of just repeating my mentor's thoughts. And that can be a kind of a scary jumping off point for someone as they're learning who they're going to become and what they're going to believe. But it was almost clear as day when I decided I don't really agree with how I was taught to bunt as a lionette. I'm going to teach this because of all the stuff I've learned.
Right.
And so it takes courage to kind of go against some of the stuff your mentor teaches you. But what the mentor is simply teaching you is to have a framework and have something you're believing in and being consistent, right? And they're never saying, to your point, Jay, they're never putting you in a box, right? They're just giving you a start.
You know, it's funny because you talk about that and making the adjustments and all. I remember many years ago when I was still coaching teams, and I'd met you at a clinic and stuff, and, we kind of struck up a friendship. And one day I asked you about some drill you'd done. So, yeah, talking about this drill and, how it went through all of these things, and you want to do this and that. And you just totally drew a blank, and you go, I'm always thinking in the future. I don't really remember that, but it sounds good. I must have been right.
I said that.
Yeah. But that really made it, honestly, that made a great impression on me. And I just remember thinking, I hope someday I'm to the point where when somebody will come up to me and say, hey, remember when you said such and such? And I go, no, but that sounds pretty good. And it actually did happen eventually. So, I felt good about that.
Awesome. Well, I think that that's also that if you're still learning and growing and doing everything you can for your players, what you know now isn't what you knew yesterday or 2 years ago. And it was the best you knew then, but then isn't now, and what you know now should be way more than what you knew then. And it's almost like you forget what you knew then because of what you know now.
Yeah, sometimes when my players come to me and they say, oh, my coach was telling me I should do this, I say, well, tell your coach to throw away the VHS tapes because nobody's done that in 20 years. At least get a DVD if they don't want to go online. But try to, keep up with the sport. We know so much more now than we did 20 years ago. We have high-speed video. We have sensor analysis and all kinds of other things to really see what the body's doing rather than just kind of take a guess at it. So, that's been a great innovation, I think, don't you?
Oh, yeah. To be able to see what other people do. That's one of the powers of the World Series that you guys were talking about before we went on air. Well, no, right when we went on air was the ability for young girls to see older girls doing the sport they're trying to do, which boys have always had that opportunity. You could turn on the Yankees or the Dodgers and little boys could imitate big boys, but women couldn't do that. You had to sexually translate. I had to look at Sandy Koufax and imagine it was me. And not every girl can do that. But now you don't have to do that. You just watch Tegan Kavan or Nigeri or whoever your player is and your position. And it's so awesome because imitation is going to go way faster than any kind of word exchange.
And the nice thing is with so many games on too, they have a choice. So somebody who looks like Nigeri can pick her out as a model. Someone who looks like Tegan can pick her out as a model, and it'll be a lot closer to what her body's going to be able to do.
Exactly. And I think that's the beautiful thing about softball. all body types have a place in it to shine, which isn't the same as
Yes.
volleyball, right? Maybe a little more like basketball, but you can be tall, you can be short, you can be big, you can be little, you can be everything, and there's a place you can shine in softball, which is such a great thing. It's like we welcome all comers.
Yes.
I think another thing that's super important too now is the Athletes Unlimited, the league that they're doing, and the backing behind Major League Baseball. I think now it's more available on TV, but also, some of those teams are at least local to Ken and I. So like, I love taking my kids up there just to watch and meet, and I try to tell them, like, these people here are at the top of their game. These are the people that are, the future. If you want to be a softball player, these are the people you're looking towards. And I think having them see these amazing women out there, doing their thing and then signing autographs after the game, there's such a good mentor thing going on there. And, it's just a great way for at least my kids to go up there and see that and be like, yeah, one day I want to be like her. I think it's such a great thing that they're doing with this league.
Oh, exactly, Jay. And they'll be able to see the person they just saw last week at the World Series, like go up and actually talk to her and meet her. And exactly.
So you eventually went on to coach in the Women's Professional Softball League. What was that like, and how did that come about?
It came about because I had left the USA softball. Once we got in the Olympics, let's just say life kind of, it was a very short line with everybody wanted to get to the finish line of that line, as they will in 2028, but there's very few spots at the end of that line, and the competition for that end of that line gets pretty ruthless. So out I go, and I'm doing lessons in Greeley, Colorado with Greg Riddock, and it wasn't doing it for me. I like teaching, but I like competing, and so I had an opportunity to go coach back in the Pro League, and I took it. We started in Atlanta. God, the first year we played every night of the week except Monday. Every single night of the week except Monday. And it taught me a couple things. There were no run rules, and you played 7 innings because we needed 7 innings of gate, which is how it is in pro ball, right?
Right.
And it just taught me, and it was funny to watch the college players shut down at about 4 innings when they knew they were going to be a run rule. And I'm like, there's no run rule here. Like, it was a really strange thing, but I loved it. And then it morphed, and eventually we ended up with 4 teams down, and I was down in Plant City. So yeah, I loved it.
So how do you compare, that professional league? They've tried to do a few professional leagues. Now we have the AUSL. If you had to give advice based on your perspective to the AUSL, what would you tell them? What would you say? Here's what I learned. This is what you need to be successful.
It all takes money, right? It takes money.
Yeah.
And we think we can just go from college to pro because we love it, and that pro should be a step up from college. But my God, look at how the University of Texas is funded. How are you going to outfund the University of Texas if you're the Chicago Bandits? I mean, I don't care. You're not going to, right? You can't out them anything. You can't out personnel them, outfund them, out facility them. And we're such a facility heavy sport that really, we had to have that partnership with Major League Baseball. Funding was the problem. Travel, we didn't fly anywhere. We went on buses. Not that we shouldn't fly. We couldn't fly. It was too expensive. So having that funding, like the Women's Basketball League, has taken forever, even with Major League or with the NBA's backing. And it started out as a way for the NBA to fill their arenas in the summer. So it wasn't like they had some altruistic reason to support women's sports. They do now, but they didn't then. It does take that backing. I think they're going about it right. It's just going to take a while. But it's the climate now, it seems, Ken, for people to try to accelerate that timeline. Like, we want it in our town. So the town's going to build a stadium to attract the program, which is the environment socially that we've needed for so long.
Yeah. And I think it was when we were talking to Lauren Hager, where she was talking about, going to going to play professional ball, and you're thinking it's all this great stuff, and there she is in the women's washroom changing in a stall to get into her uniform before she's going to go out and play. I mean, like you say, you need facilities, you need locker rooms, you need some things that make it more attractive and that just help people to feel that it is professional, don't you think?
Oh, yeah. And it's hard. Like, again, in Lauren's case, how are you going to out budget the University of Florida right off the bat in the pro league? You just aren't. That's why I think it's helpful that they have the Chicago facility. That's helpful. And now using some of the college facilities in the summer is kind of a little bit of that WNBA mentality where at least we're putting things in the stadium right in the summer during the college season when nothing's happening. So it's a little bit of the same. It'll take a while, but I think that a while is going to be a much shorter timeline now than WNBA's timeline was. And all the previous iterations were funded by individuals. Like, who the heck can fund it? Like, that's a lot of money just because you like softball. So,
right. Yeah, unless you've got Jeff Bezos money.
Yeah. And Jeff Bezos might like softball, but he doesn't see the financial return, so he's probably not going to spend it on that. So,
right. Yeah. Yeah. You have to be able to make a profit. People talk about fairness and all these other things, but at the end of the day, the reason that things make it or they don't is because the people who are behind it can make money at it. If they can't make money, they're going to go somewhere else.
Right. Right.
So, Cindy, I want to ask you a little bit about the NFCA. How did you become involved in that? And were you involved in the beginning of that, the formation? And if so, what drove those first coaches to create that organization?
I wasn't involved. I can't really remember. There were a bunch of very group-oriented coaches. Margie, you mentioned, Jay. There was Linda Wells, Carol Spanks, whole bunch of, like, I would say altruistic coaches who cared about their teams, but the sport in general, that were together trying to unify the sport and move it forward. Because everyone realized if my team's good, but everybody else's isn't, I have nothing. So we would meet, and that was back when the World Series was in Omaha for the women. And so we would get together and just meet in a hotel room. And there may have been an association, but I don't know if there was. And then there becomes one. They become one. So, like, all right, women's basketball has an association, so we have to have one. And we created one. And I remember, like you mentioned, I had been president. Here's how that goes down. Where we had this little meeting, Norma Carr, a whole bunch of people. We're meeting in this room, and now we're going to walk across the parking lot and go to lunch. And Linda Wells, I don't know if you know her, but she's a very strong personality, right? So I think she
that's like saying the grass is green.
Right, exactly. So I think she had been president. I don't really know, but all I remember is we're starting to walk across the parking lot, and Linda makes this announcement. We're not going anywhere until we sit down and vote on who's going to be the next president. So, of course, we all stop. We all sit down in the parking lot on those little concrete things that, right in front of your parking place. And we vote on who's going to be president. Okay, can we go to lunch now? Yes, okay. So off we go. We come back, and we find out that Paula Noel, who pitched for the Sun City Saints, she was the University of Arizona head coach at the time, had been voted president. So we're like, okay, great. So off we go back into our world. And I was at Wichita State at the time. And I remember getting a phone call, I think it was from Linda, and said, Paula has quit coaching. She's moved to Alaska. So she can't be the coach or the president anymore. You were second in the voting. You're president now. I'm like, okay. So back then it was like, what do you do? President of what? So we had All-American awards, but we couldn't afford the trophies.
Oh, gosh.
Right? That's where we were back then. So I remember going to Fred Eilenberg, who started Ringer, who I knew. And I said, Fred, we have to get these awards, like something tangible to hand these people. Can you pay for them, please? And put Ringer on them. I don't care what you put on them, just so we can have, and it was just some cheesy little plaque, right?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what we did. I did back then realize the offense was too weak. Pitchers were just mowing people down, and we had to move the mound back. And that was the biggest thing I tried to push through. Oh my God, you would have thought I was asking them to pitch at like 90 feet or something. How we're never going to be able to do it. It'll hurt too many kids. There'll be only a few people who can do it. The kids will never be able to do it. Like, we're so afraid of anything that's different. We come up with, we make up all these reasons we can't do stuff.
And now you have 14-year-olds pitching from that distance.
Right. And my argument was, and I did a lot of research on pro sports and the rules that they have in place for the appearance of the game. But one of the things that always like boggle my mind is we have no problem asking a 12-year-old who just last year threw it 30 feet to throw it 35 feet, or to go from 35 to 40 feet, right? We make them have 5-foot jumps and go up an inch in ball size. Like that doesn't even enter our mind because we've always done that. Now you're going to ask a fairly close to grown woman to go up 3 feet and keep the same ball size. It isn't that big of a deal.
Yeah. Well, you definitely made a difference with that. And I think that change and going to the yellow ball with red seams were probably the two most significant things that really started getting some offense going.
Yeah. And having more teams. So now 3 studs weren't pitching on the same team. They were on 3 different teams. So that helped elevate everybody. If the same team wins every single year, the popularity of the sport declines. Where, like, look, this year, I was amazed, I think, this year at the World Series, on Game 3, only 2 Texas teams are in it, and it's the highest rated game we've ever had on TV. So clearly it's the sport that people love, not just the team, which is a huge milestone.
Absolutely. I think that was really exciting to see. And I think that, as much as people like Oklahoma and, loved seeing how they're doing it, it's kind of like the Yankees. Eventually you get tired of seeing the Yankees in the World Series, and, people want to see other teams. They want to, Americans especially love to root for the underdog.
Yep.
We just always do.
Yep.
Hey, I have to tell you one quick Linda Wells story. This is my favorite one. I was at one of the Mary Nutter clinics, and Linda was one of the speakers, and she's talking about catching. And then she's kind of going on, and somehow she gets into a thing about equipment. And then she goes, knee savers? Knee savers? What do you need knee savers? What are you saving your knees for? And she just kind of goes on this little rant about it. And, not realizing that downstairs there are 3 vendors selling knee savers. So she gets up for her next speaking thing, and she gets up and she says, and, because Mary was still involved. I mean, she was still there. So all of a sudden she gets up and she goes, well, I just want to say, some people might need knee savers. There are some reasons to have them. I personally wouldn't use them, but, if that's something you want to do, it's all fine. And I could just imagine the conversation, because Mary was not exactly a shrinking violet either.
No.
I can imagine the conversation the two of them had.
And probably now, Linda, I know I just had a new knee put in a couple months ago, and Linda has as well, I'm sure. So she might have a different view on knee savers now. You don't care about your knees when you're 18.
Yeah, very true. All right, so you've done a lot for coaching education, like we were talking about before. You've written several books. You created the VIP program for ASA, now USA Softball. You're a frequent speaker at coaching clinics. That's where I met you originally, and I'm sure Jay's seen you there and all that, as well as the National Fast Pitch Coaches College and all of that. What drives you to do so much in this area, the coach the coaches?
I think my main why in my life is to help. I love to help, whether it's opening a door for somebody at a store, or taking care of my 97-year-old mom, or helping a pitcher understand something a little better. I just love to help. And so I'm also obsessively curious. So that keeps me out there trying to figure out what now, what next, what better. And those two combined, it's only natural I'm going to share it. Like, I don't need all the knowledge. I'm not trying to be like the knowledge queen. Mm-hmm. I'm only trying to learn more to help more, whether it's a player in front of me or coaches out there. Like, why wouldn't I?
Thinking from that standpoint, then, is there anything that you taught looking back now that makes you cringe a little, or that you wish you could go back
Oh
and change?
God, all of it. Every single bit of it. I look at all those damn books and videos and I'm like, oh God. And for a while, it was really hard because people would throw it at me. Yeah, but you said this. And it's like you feel all this guilt because you put it down. It's actually like your thoughts are down. This is what I think. Then I realized, yeah, it is what I thought at the time. But now the time is different and I think different. And I should. Like, you should never be afraid to put what you think out there and then hope in pretty soon you think something better or different or more. That should be how it goes because that means you're evolving. If you still think what you used to think, then stop talking because you don't know anything.
Yeah, and yet there are so many coaches out there who say, I've been teaching it this way for 20 years, or I've been teaching this way for 30 years, and I'm just going to stick with what I know. And it's a shame.
It's lazy too. I'm just going to say it. I don't mean to be mean to people, but it's just lazy. Like, stop with yourself. Like that, if you just listen to that sentence, you've said I about 30 times. It's never about you. It's about them. So if you are not going to go learn more, if you're not going to grow yourself, then you have no place in coaching because all coaching is asking a player to grow themselves and to learn and do more. So how can you put that on them and not put it on yourself? Like, you're the adult in the picture. So you have to do more of what you're asking than you're expecting them to do. And you're doing less. And then you're getting mad at them. So just get out of it. Like, stop.
So I want to talk a little bit, Cindy, about motor preferences. Ken and I both got certified in that. And we've seen that you've kind of been, you're dabbling into that, looking into that as well too. I think you have a pitching clinic coming up with motor preferences and some good instructors good coaches that are out there. So give us a little bit of, how did you find out about the motor preferences? Where do you sit with a lot of that?
Again, it's my curiosity. I'm always like exploring what's outside of just what I know or what's just outside of softball. So it kept popping up and people I know are doing it. So I look at it more. I've done their online one from Europe, not the baseball softball one, right? The
Volodalin.
Volodalin, yeah.
And it makes all kinds of sense, right? It totally makes, like, I've always had this innate thought, like, sure, Fernandez can look like this and Ginny Finch can look like that. They look totally different in their pitching, but yet they're both doing it the right way for them. So what does that mean, right? And I think this takes and puts on your night vision goggles and makes you understand why that is, instead of, like we talked earlier, whether you have to choose one or the other. So it's fascinating to me, the fact that it's based on science and not what somebody in some cave just came up with. So I'm always fascinated by that. A couple of my friends have brought them into their college teams, which even further fascinates me. So I reached out. My pitching summit, by the way, I don't know that the world needs another pitching clinic, but where my current interest lies right now is helping college pitching coaches better do their job, because it's such a rough climate right now to be a college pitching coach because of the imbalance in offense. And so many times we just throw a former college pitcher into the pitching coach role. We don't train them. We don't mentor them. They're not prepared. So they only can coach the one kid who pitches like they pitched.
Right.
And so then they get fired because they didn't do their job and they can't keep a team from under 5 runs, and who can? So that's my obsession. So the pitching summit is for college pitching coaches to improve their college pitching coach skills, which so much now is about data. It's about technology. It's about workouts. It's about in-game adjustments. And it's so different than you're going to stand in a bullpen and do spins and drills, right? So that's a one-day exercise or a one-day event with a lot of limited audience, unlimited virtually. And we have a lot of interaction and sharing. And so the 2 days before that, I'm bringing motor preference in for people to combine them both and do like a 2-day motor preference, 1-day pitching summit thing right before PGF down in Southern Cal.
Yeah, I was going to say when is that, and how do you qualify to be a part of that in the live thing, and just go ahead and promote it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's my weakness, is promoting stuff. So it is in Long Beach, California, at Long Beach City College. If you're coming out, if you're a college coach, you hear this and you're going to PGF to recruit, it's pitchingcoachcentral.com. You can go on my website and there's a pitching summit page there. You can sign up in person or virtual. And I have a bundle package. I've worked with Motor Preference to have a discount if you do both. If you do the in-person summit and you do the Motor Preference clinic.
Let me just say here real quick, Cindy, we actually need more summits and pitching stuff like this, right? Again, I think Ken agrees with me. We go and see some of these coaches speak about pitching and they're saying this or that. And it's like, we've heard it 1,000 times, but I feel like we need more pitching summits like the one that you're doing, where you're including the motor preference. And one thing that you said that really just struck a chord with me is you talked about in-game adjustments, right? I've always heard coaches say, well, in the game, during the game is not the time to make adjustments. And Ken and I have talked about this before previously with our other guests too. Like, yes, it is. If we want to win this game, we have to make an in-game adjustment. So if I see my kids on the mound or, in the circle there and they're struggling and I see something, of course I'm going to say something to them because what they're doing is not working and we need to make sure that we're getting that. And I think a lot of that is that they don't want to make those in-game adjustments, and like you talked about, educating the pitching coaches is incredibly important. That's why I'm the same way like you and Ken. Like, I don't want to ever stop learning because everything I learn, I want to go to in my bullpens with my kids that, at the university I'm at, and I want to try to work on those things with them to make them better. And I feel like it gets so regimented with some of these pitching coaches that they're afraid to try things because, like you said, they pitch this way, and they were successful, so it must work for everybody. And that's just not the case anymore.
You're 100% right, Jay. And I think the biggest problem right now in pitching, period, whether it's travel or college, is that we think that what we do in a bullpen 100% translates to the game, and it could be no further from the truth. The environment in a bullpen that most people create, they might as well not even practice because there is no translation to the game. All there is in a bullpen is boredom, repetition. Most of their workout is closer or further than 43 feet. There is only positive feedback. Oh, that was good. That's close enough. Do it again. End on a good one. All the crap that never happens in a game.
Right.
And then you go in a game and that same curveball that you thought was a great pitch is ball, 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 ball. Now you're pissed off. You can't adjust. You can't throw another pitch. You hit them with your rise ball because you're inside of it and screws in and hits her. And now you have nothing. If you can't make in-game adjustments, you can't pitch in a game. That's just it. Because hitters now are adjusting at-bat to at-bat.
Yes.
And they've already done a job of scaling before you even see the batter. They know. I was talking to a coach last night. They had played Arizona State in the regional, and the Arizona State kid was a beast. She had a great rise, a great drop, a great curve, and a great changeup. So her hitting approach was, the way our kids hit, we can't tackle the rise and the drop. There's only one kid on our lineup who can really sit on a change. So therefore, we are sitting curveball because it is the one lateral pitch that our kids can drive. So right there, they've already taken all these menu options and boiled it down to one thing we're looking for. And they've got the $500 bat, and we've got a $10 ball. And if we don't make adjustments, the adjustment's going to be made for us, which is Bristow, you're out, Krause, you're in. That's the adjustment. So all the people, Jay, who aren't wanting to make in-game adjustments, they're making them. They're just making them with pitching changes, which is absurd because you are going from pretty good to not so good to pretty horrible to I hope this kid never has to pitch. And now she's in.
Yeah.
Like you said, Cindy, they know, everybody knows what these kids are doing already. They have the pitch charts, percentages that they throw this
Oh,
pitch and that pitch. And, sometimes you got to go away from what actually, is that kid's best pitch sometimes, right? Like, because they know that that kid's going to throw it 80% of the time. So if I know that kid's going to throw it 80% of the time, we got to give them something else to look at. So they're like, whoa, what's going on here? Right. Like, I think that's the strategy in those in-game adjustments, even for pitcher and pitching coach. We've got to be able to do those things. At least that's how I feel sometimes, right? Like, I feel like sometimes, hey, they know you're a rise ball pitcher. Today, maybe we need to work down.
exactly. And in college, the amount of data and video that we have on you is so big.
Insane.
So every time through the lineup, how can you, with the same weapons, show them differently? Like, you might be a rise ball pitcher, but are you always arm side rise ball, or can you throw it glove side? Can you throw it a little lower? Can the first time through the lineup, you don't even show it. You're going fastball or drop ball glove side, and then you're more off speed. And then how can you be different? Think of the World Series, the championship game. I mean, the championship series, how many times had they seen each pitcher? Like a million times. And that's why Texas just ripped Nyjah at the end. They had seen her so much. It wasn't that she suddenly got crappy. It's that she just got so predictably familiar that their bats could handle it. And so there's, I think, a couple types of in-game adjustments. One is mechanical, which very seldom has to be made, more so with the younger kids whose mechanics might be, wobbly or inconsistent. But most of the time it's like, okay, the curveball's breaking, but he's not calling outside. Instead of going away from the curveball, can I first adjust it in an inch, not 5 inches, but in an inch? And then if that doesn't work, can I adjust my pitch calling and maybe go away from it for a minute and go fastball more inside because it tails down? Like, what adjustments is the game telling me that I need to make? Because you can do all the scouting in the world. The kid shows up and you're like, oh, crap, my scout doesn't work. I got to throw it away. And now I've got to just call like in real time. You're always making adjustments.
Yeah. And, this goes back to something, too, that the conventional wisdom has always been you only need 3 pitches. You need a rise ball up, a drop ball down, and a changeup. And yet, I think with as sophisticated as the hitters have become and as much data as we have and everything, I think there is a place for that 4th or 5th pitch. You may not throw it all the time, but just to have something to keep the hitters honest where they can't just sit on a pitch.
Yeah, agree, Ken. If it's good, like if you're just handing me another ball, that doesn't help me. But we do need the sniper pitch. So there's movement pitches. I might have a wicked rise ball, but I can't throw it behind in the count because I require you to swing and miss it. But if you're 3-0, you're not going to swing and miss it. So my drop ball, I also require you to swing and miss. So what is a sniper pitch that I can hit a location with repeatedly when I need to have a strike? And so many of these pitchers don't have that because they've been told erroneously when they were younger that fastballs are baby pitches. And so they've quit throwing their fastball, which is their greatest chance for a controlled pitch, location pitch. And they have no control location pitch. So they can't hit a location. They're only going to succeed if the batter fails. And that is a limited success strategy.
Yes, for sure. Hey, I want to go back on the thing with, we talked about motor preferences. Are there any other things that you're into right now, kind of new things that you're exploring that are getting you excited?
Yeah, I came across this guy called Lado Detmar.
Yes.
I know.
It's some funky Central European name
Hungary.
About the art of practice.
Right. He's from Hungary, the art of practice. And it's so fantastic because he was a juggler and Hungary, I guess, is big in the circus. And he was juggling his brains out for years and not getting any better. And he saw these other people being better in a faster timeline. So he spent the last 10 years obsessed with practice. And how can I get better faster? And so he comes up with what naturals do, which if you're natural at something, you're not really natural at it. You're more instinctive with how you spend your practice time. And it's the thing that I think we need to do better in softball, which is we need to push ourselves. Naturals live at the edge of their skills, where we live in the sweet spot of our skills. So a juggler is always going to do and then if you watch on Netflix, that Cirque du Soleil show, you'll see them doing skills just past what they're capable of. Like they'll go up and they'll do flips and reach for the rings and miss and land on the foam.
Yeah.
We need more foam in our practice setup. We don't do anything that pushes our skills. And so our skills shrink to the middle instead of grow to the top. And he has an entire e-course on it, and I've taken them all. I just absolutely love it. And I think the really good coaches in our sport do that, and the really average coaches are afraid to do it. Because what if they fail? And it's like, well, they're going to fail. So what's the lesson? I always taught our players, the thing I started saying was, don't get critical, get curious. So what does that result teach you? What can you learn from it instead of what can you criticize from it? For their own self comments, right? And
Right.
if you can get curious about what's happening, you can improve it. If you get critical, you just stay in it and you just swirl.
The other thing that he talked about that I thought was really fascinating is that we tend to start with the skills we're good at, and then we introduce something new at the end. He said that was backwards.
Yes.
That what you should do is something that you're not capable of right away. So let's say you're trying to learn a rise ball. Instead of saving the rise ball for after you've gone through all your other pitches, start with the rise ball. Work on that first, and then go back and maintain the other things that you can do. And it was just such a different way of thinking about it, but I started applying it, and he's right.
Oh, so you've seen the result from that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
And
actually, it's
awesome.
funny. I had one pitcher that I found that if I worked on her rise ball and her curveball first, and then really got into, okay, let's go for speed at the end of the practice, her speed went up. That's how she ended up hitting 60 miles an hour. She couldn't do it in the beginning of the session, but if I worked her at the edge of her skills or a little bit beyond, by the time we got to the end of the lesson, her speed had gone up.
And again, that's, we do what we know, and what we know is what we used to do. And so you're right. We would know to always do the hardest last, but I loved how he broke down the energy levels of practice. The highest one is first, and the middle is like you're starting to run out of gas, and by the end you're over. And most really good athletes end sooner rather than later. And those are, again, all different concepts. But I think if you're curious, you accept new concepts instead of rejecting them as different. Because it might be that one thing, just that one thing that helps that one player, right? Like it's our obligation. Like, how can you not do it? That's the part I don't get. How can you not do it? If you aren't doing it, you're lazy, or you don't care, or both. And if you're either one or both, you need to get out.
Yeah, I know Jay talks about that so much, especially here on the podcast and all that, and just how you have to work it and how you have to go about it, and how you have to just keep on improving.
You do. And you're right, Jay. And it's not easy, though.
It's funny to me. I say this all the time. As coaches, we expect our players to put more work in to get better. Go do extra fielding, go do extra hitting, go do whatever you need to do. More reps, right? But then us as coaches, we just feel like we know it all. So now we're not going to try to get to be more curious like you're talking about. It drives me crazy. It's like, well, this is the way we've always done it, so we're going to do it that way. And it's like, it just doesn't fit into the mold, into the box. And if we're going to challenge our players to be better and go do this and go do that, then what are we doing as coaches to be better coaches? Right. I think that's the most important thing.
Exactly. If we look at all the things in the world, like what we used to do, we used to talk on a phone that was connected to the wall with a curly cord. Like, why would we keep doing what we used to live in caves and eat with our hands? Like, why would we keep doing what we used to do? I mean, come on.
For sure. Hey, I just have to share one of my favorite quotes I ever heard you say. This was at, I think, again, at one of the Mary Nutter clinics, but You were looking out over a whole sea of coaches and you said, guys, I want you to understand something. My girls make all the same mistake your girls do. They just do it faster. You still feel that way?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, they do. I mean, geez, watch the World Series. Watch some of those rundowns. You're like, what the hell? And right? And
Yeah.
you're seeing a shortstop make an amazing stop, pick up a ball and chuck it into the tarp down the right field line, right? Like it, and yet they'll also make more amazing plays than your team will make. But
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. The one, my absolute worst pet peeve in base running is the runner going from first to second, runs right into the tag and into the double play. You know, you see that second baseman is fielding the ball, run behind her, run out to right field, make her chase you, distract her long enough for your runner to get to first base.
Yeah.
And yet they'll run right into that tag. It's like, what's wrong with you? You should know this by now. All right. So you have quite the resume and the accolades to go with it. Have you ever experienced doubts about yourself? I mean, you ever experienced imposter syndrome or any of those kind of things? And how did you deal with them?
All the time. Like all the time. Now, all the time. When you read all that stuff, I'm like, I remember it happening, but it seems like, wow, that wasn't me. That couldn't have been me. I think I've always raised my hand for the next challenge, but knowing I wasn't ready for it. I mean, I was scared to death with every new challenge I took, still am, but I do it anyway. Like I've spoke a million times, and every time I go on stage, right before I go on, I'm like, oh crap, what if they think I'm stupid? What if I don't help anybody? Like I still think like they're going to think I'm dumb. And then I think, stop it. If you just help one person, like then it's worth it. And so I think we all battle those doubts. I think if you don't have them, you're kind of getting complacent. And I can look around now and think, God, I'm falling behind. I don't know anything, or I just don't listen. Those are natural thoughts, but they aren't helpful thoughts. So again, like we ask our athletes to have more helpful thoughts, I need to just say, well, do your best. And I don't have to know everything. And what I'm doing is the best I can do. And just keep doing the best you can do.
And then do you have like a, circle of coaches or whatever? I know for me, sometimes it helps me to hear that other people have that doubt. Jay and I know, a good group of coaches and stuff, and we'll have that. And people that I highly respect that, sometimes they'll send a messenger message and they'll go, yeah, I think I'm ready to hang it up. I had one of those days and I just apparently don't know anything. And I'm just taking people's money and I think it's time to give it up.
Yeah, I think if it's essential to have a good, trusting, small circle of friends who will tell you the truth when you need to have that affirmation that, yeah, you know what you're doing, keep going, or, hey, Bristow, what are you doing? Like, this is what you need to be doing. Like, I think you need to hear the pump up and the truth. And they may not come from the same person, right? You may have a truth teller in your circle and you may have a pump up artist. And I have someone who's both, but it is, like you said, Ken, amazing the high level of coaches with a high degree of insecurity that just need a text saying, hey, you hang in there. I know what you're going through, and don't believe what they're saying, especially with college coaches now in the social media world. And here's something else. If stuff you're reading bums you out, stop reading it. Like, don't read the comments. Don't read the posts from the people that don't know what the hell they're doing or talking about. Like, stop. If the news bums you out, stop watching it. Like, only fill your brain with things that make you feel better, because then you're going to be closer to your best self.
So has it gotten easier for female coaches to be respected by administrations or corporate management or whoever they're working with, or does it seem to still be a struggle? I stumped you.
Well, yeah. It's interesting because if you're a female, you see the landscape differently, because the landscape is usually male-run landscape. And so males hire males. They are more comfortable, more confident. Sometimes men get kind of, I don't know how to deal with her. She seems emotional or something. So we're getting more women administrators. But I also think that as young boys grow up admiring women athletes, that society has a different viewpoint of women as athletes in athletic settings. So I think that helps a lot. I wish we would see people for skills and not for sexes within the skills, right? Like if we can pitch differently, then we can coach differently. And if I'm an intense emotional coach, it's not because I'm a female, it's because I'm an intense emotional coach, right? I would say Bobby Knight was an intense emotional coach, but he wasn't a female, right? So
Right.
why does that moniker have to be just female? And I think that's the wrong conclusion we're jumping to. I think it's still a tough world where we're not the same kin as the pay scale. Like, it's clear. A guy's going to be valued up here, and a woman who does a better job, at least the same job and usually better, is valued lower. And that's not right.
Agree. People should be paid based on their worth and their contributions.
Yeah. And that's why, right on, Patty Gasso, make all the damn money you can make. And right on now, Ajuri, because as you go, the rest of us will kind of like go with you. Like, it suddenly isn't out of the realm for people to make a lot of money.
Right. The rising tide that lifts all boats.
When the average or underperforming baseball coach at the same school is making more, like what's that all about? And it's like, that's absurd.
So, Cindy, just one more question here for me, and I don't know if Ken has any more, but what's next for you? Any new hills to climb, conquer? What's next for Cindy Bristow?
Yeah, I don't know. I've made some life choices to come home and live at the house I grew up with, to care for my 97-year-old mom, who's very healthy, but 97. So that
God bless her.
Yes, right. So it keeps me from going out and applying for things and saying yes to some offers I've had that just would take me away. So I'm not sure. I love writing. I write my pitching coach newsletter, the Curveball Chronicles, every Monday, send that out for free to people, just it's like a 6-minute read, new thoughts, things I'm learning or concepts I have. And
how do people sign up for that?
Yeah, you can sign up at pitchingcoachcentral.com, and it's the Curveball Chronicles.
Okay, good.
And I want to I'm mentoring and consulting with some younger college pitching coaches to help them through the profession and understand how to overcome all the challenges that they face. And so I really dig that. I'm not sure, but I don't know that I've ever been sure. I've never been one to pick goals, Jay, because had I picked goals, I never would have done any of the things I would have done, because none of that stuff existed when I would have sat down to pick goals. So I just always want to conquer and help, and conquer, I mean, in the way of learning new things for myself and then sharing with as many as possible. I just want to keep helping more people. And as I get older and I learn more, I think I have more I can help people with.
Excellent. Well, Cindy, we thank you so much for joining us today and for spending so much time. We kept you a little bit more than the hour we promised, but it was a great conversation.
Thank you guys for having me. Sorry about the video. I don't know what the heck's going on with the camera.
Well, good news is we don't really use it anyway, so we would have loved to have seen you ourselves, but...
Okay.
Yeah.
And thank you guys for doing this. Like, you guys are stepping out of, you could be spending this time with your family or with your own profession, but you're stepping up and doing something that takes a big effort and financial contribution to help other people. And so I commend you and thank you for that. Jay and Ken, that's awesome.
Thank you, Cindy. Thank you. It means a lot.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
All right. Well, that's it for us this week. Thanks to all of you for listening and the kind words you've been sharing with us. If you like what you're hearing, please remember to give us a like, leave a comment, and share this podcast on your social media channels. If you're so inclined, you can also give us a great review on Apple Podcasts to help more people find us. On behalf of the From the Coach's Mouth podcast, have a great rest of your week and weekend.